Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Saturday
Woohoo.
morning. I know
Yeah.
it's Saturday afternoon for Hillary, and she said it was her anniversary. Happy anniversary,
Happy
Hillary.
anniversary. Wedding
How many
anniversary.
how many how many years the anniversary?
Yes.
You guys gonna do anything today?
Which special day is it? What number?
And then we also have my mom here.
Aw,
We missed
family.
my mom last week. She was at the beach.
Mm.
Kathy, Susan, uh,
Lisa.
Chris, Janine, Lisa.
39. Wow. 39 years for Hillary.
Wow.
Wow. It'll be our 35th in August, at the end of August.
Ooh.
Yeah. I can't believe that. But
We also have Judy here. I don't know if I said Susie already, but Susie.
Hello again.
Yep,
Very nice.
and that's all. So I know that the LiveCast wasn't made much prior to this, so we might be a bit for some people to find us.
Oh
But if
no.
not, people can watch after.
That's right.
My mom and my dad are 38. So,
Wow.
and is that December 38 or going on 39 in December? I don't know because their anniversary is in December. So, oh my gosh, it's going to be 40 years since they're going to be married. And
Wow.
June is here.
Oh, there's June. Hi, June.
Mm-hmm. Also, if anybody's wondering where Mags is, she's doing a presentation in South Carolina, the
I think
Southern
she went back
Conference
home, so to South Carolina.
genealogy.
Oh yes, yeah. She actually gave us the initials. I'm pretty sure it started with SC, so I think you're right. It's
Yeah,
called South
so hold on,
Carolina
it is
Genealogy Society or something like that.
the SCGS 49th Annual Summer Anniversary Workshop. So Southern Carolina Genealogy something, whatever
Yeah.
that stands for, but SCGS. That's where she's at. She's with some other well-known genealogists there doing presentations, so that's why she's not here today.
I'm sure she'll be mentioning WikiTree at some point.
Yep. And
Good
she
stuff.
did have me I'll share it later, but she sent me a picture to share that,
Oh,
is very Mags. So
very Mags.
so
Yes, indeed.
I guess we'll get started with I guess it's me, a question of the week.
Yes.
So,
Is there a question of the week?
question of the week. The question of the week, hold on. I wasn't well, I guess I thought I wasn't going first, so I was gonna show Mags's photo right away.
Well, you can
But
show it now if you want.
exactly, I could do it right now.
You could.
So she wanted
Uh-oh.
to share a blueberry pie
Oh.
that was made. I don't remember if she made it or her mom made it.
Oh, that
But
looks good.
I think there was also a blackberry pie that was made of black.
Yes.
So a whole bunch of my mom messed up how many years they were married.
Uh-oh. We're catching up to you, Joanna.
So blueberry pie. Mags was like, show this
Oh,
on Saturday. I was like, okay. So if you want
Now
to
I
share.
I like pictures that when it's sliced open, you can see the
Ooh.
blueberries, the
I wonder
juice.
if she has one of those.
I think so. Somewhere. I thought she had one.
So the question of the week this week was, who was one of your favorite ancestors to research? So I kind of glanced through. We have 43 answers this week.
Wow.
If any of one of you that's watching, if you answered it, let me know and I'll go find yours. Or if you want to reply in the comments now about it, you can. So the first one here on the top was by Anonymous Pape. Says his favorite was Melvin Robert Lard, and the fact that he resigned and survived Watergates. And then we have David McNichol saying his most challenging, I guess, his favorite to research was his great-great-grandfather, William, from Scotland. He was challenging because I had started with strong expectations about what I would find based on Scottish history in the 18th century and the advent of the Industrial Revolution. In brief, I thought it likely that William was from the Highland family that supported Prince Charles, in the uprising of 1745 with the other Jacobites. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Was decisively defeated by the British at Culloden. Then, so my supposed story went, the McNichols, with so many other Highlanders, were pushed off the land during the clearances and became reluctant draftees into the battalions of the Industrial Revolution. Armed with these historical pointers, I set out to find the Highland Glen that was my family's ancestral home. It is true that Renton is in the Highlands, that it was an industrial town, and also true that for part of his life, William worked in the textile industry. All of my other suppositions proved to be false. My Scottish ancestors were Church of Scotland and government men, not Catholic and Jacobite, and they had fought at Culloden, and I found no evidence that they did. They would have been part on the British side. So basically, he had all these assumptions, and that's usually what happens when you're researching your ancestry. You go in thinking because of family lore and stories that were passed down, and then it would proves to be false.
Yeah. Well, good to be open-minded though, and realize that and being willing to switch gears when you have to.
Yes, you have to be willing to change, from the evidence. And then we have Richard Hill saying, I was later discovered to dig into the life and times of my fifth great-grandfather, John Dennis. Born about 1758 in Pennsylvania, he was a United Empire loyalist who was forced to move to Canada with his family, winding up in Upper Canada, Ontario, where he served both its government and the British Navy as a shipwright in the town of York, now Toronto, and in the Kingston, where he built many of the ships that served the British North America in the War of 1812. And then he goes on, and he apparently he has a little presentation that's online about it.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. He has a handout.
Wow, a handout even. Wow, so that's very impressive.
He really went in depth in his ancestor. So then we have this one here by Alexis Nelson. One of my favorite ancestors to research has been my second great-grandfather, Edward Macaulay Long. I had heard as a child my maternal grandmother and her sisters talk about their grandfather being murdered. When I started doing genealogy, the only thing I inherited was a large packet of poorly copied newspaper articles about the murder trial. The trial went on so long that it was moved from Missouri to Kansas. This is a newspaper clipping taken from Leavenworth, Kansas on July 17, 1879. And it says, the jury in E.M. Long murder case say on their oath that said shooting, wounding, and killing was done feloniously and violently and of the malice aforethought with force and arms by one Chase Harris of Winthrop, M.O., so-called East Athson. I think that's Missouri, M.O.? Yeah.
M.O., yeah, Missouri,
yeah. Yeah, that said Charles Harris did feloniously kill and murder said E.M. Long of said date, on said date, and in said Ashaton County in the state of Kansas, aforesaid, and on it goes.
Wow.
But just reading that article from 1879, the words they used to
describe and how they phrased everything. Yes, so differently. E.M. Wow.
And then there was a Martin Honor said his favorite ancestor was William Otway, his second great-grandfather. He was a merchant seaman and was lost along the rest of the ship's company when his ship, the bark Mabel, ran aground in the Bristol Channel. Interesting story. This person says, I feel a little bit like I'm asked to identify my favorite grandchild.
Oh, that's funny. Yes, they're all, I love them all, right? Yes.
John Griscom said he has two favorites, Valentine Hollingsworth, his seventh great-grandfather, and his father, Valentine's father, Andrew. They were both Quakers who came to America as part of Penn's experiment in the colonies. And apparently Andrew was Betsy Ross's great-grandfather. He also had a son and grandson that helped build Independence Hall.
Wow.
Has anybody been saying anything in the chat?
Chris is detouring into some tennis talk.
Oh, yes.
Which is going to
Why are you
connect to
giving
the
it away,
profiles
Chris? It
later.
was a surprise.
What's that?
No, I'm just kidding. I was saying it's a surprise what the profiles of the week were. Don't give it away.
Sorry, Chris gave it away.
Mm.
He's causing quite a racket over there.
So we have another one here. Anthony McPherson said his favorite ancestor to research was Captain Antoine Paulin. Paulin or Paulin, more modern, from Poland. From the American Revolution, he was an ancestor we were taught in school history class didn't really exist, along with his brothers in arms. Luckily, however, he was mentioned in his descendants' obituaries even into the 21st century. I've collected over 3,000 names of his descendants. That's pretty cool. Go to the second page and see.
Interesting. Yeah.
Susie Welch says her favorite is Abner Doro. He started out in Dublin, Ireland in 1680 and died in the U.S. in 1720. He has hundreds of descendants, of which I'm one. I'm going to Dublin in October to try to learn more about him.
Wow. So, but he was only 40 then when he passed.
Yeah. I guess the stress of the immigrating to the U.S. We have Catherine Chapman here saying one of her favorites was her sixth great grandmother, Hannah Massey Lindley. Her family were Quakers from Pennsylvania who moved to North Carolina. She died tragically during a battle of the Revolutionary War, killed because she was a Tory sympathizer, and her husband died at the same time. Left only one toddler son, James. Because her son migrated to Indiana as an adult, the details and sources were fuzzy, but the story was handed down in the family. I came to think of her as one of those mystery ladies, and although I used to be hesitant to add profiles from this era to WikiTree, I worked hard to gather as many sources as I could. I had to read up on the Battle of Lindley's Mill, and I had to work on several profiles connected to her as well. I'm particularly proud of connecting her to her parents who were already on WikiTree. It turns out Hannah's mother raised James along with her son from a second marriage.
Right. The grandmother.
Let's look at her profile. I'm curious.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool story.
Oh, nice biography there and research notes.
Some sources. Good. We have the Battle of Lindley's Mill on Wikipedia. Very cool.
Wow. And a map too. Cool.
Yes.
Very neat.
Okay, we'll do one more. So Pam Joy Major said, most interesting one was the Halifax murder by nephew towards his uncles. So sad situation. Then realized Isaac Allerton and Mary Norris' marriage was done in the church of the statue, where Mary's great uncles were made into a statue. Also finding out about my great grandfather had died in a manner that he felt he needed to do. He thought he caused his two boys to have mental challenges. Interesting.
Wow.
Right. Let's see if anybody in the chat that I recognize had done not many answers this week. Last week had a whole bunch.
So Lisa said, I was surprised to find that some of my French Canadian ancestors went back to the US from the Deerfield attack and then back to England from there. Yeah. So that was, remember last week when I was talking about the connections, the ones who of the American presidents that I was connected to sooner rather than later were because of the family where the child was taken, and that's the Deerfield attack that Lisa's talking about here. So she obviously has ancestors that come through that line as well.
Very interesting. Do you have a favorite ancestor that you like to research, Greg? Or a current favorite one?
Well, that's an interesting one. So I've sort of got two that I've done more research on than some of the others. One of them is from my adopted family, and that is my adoptive mother's line. Her name is Bay, or her maiden name was Bay, but it was actually Bailly, which is a French Canadian name. And the one who came and settled in this area was a voyageur. So that meant he traveled the river and traded furs with First Nations people. And he was in the the corps of the Voyageur in the War of 1812, fighting for the British side. And because of that, he was granted some land. So he was granted, I think, 200 acres of land in the Orillia area, which is the part of Ontario where I live. So, but he, going back and finding his original records, he was from a family in just outside of Montreal. But he actually had a first wife and some children, but then he left them. But I'm not sure if he left them or if his wife left him first, because she also had an affair with a politician and had 2 children out of him with him. And anyway, this guy married a different person. Anyways, it's all very convoluted and stuff, but a lot more convoluted than any of the family expected it to be. So it was, yeah. But there's a Voyageur, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about yourself?
I don't know if there's a favorite to research or ones with more interesting stories that I found. I had one where he had a few kids with his wife who then passed away. He got remarried, moved across to the middle of the country, but left his one son who was deaf and his youngest son with his sister, but took all of his other kids. And the one that stayed was the one that I'm descended from. So it's always interesting to think how, if he would have decided to take him instead of leaving him, how things would have changed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one for me. So, and figuring out why they moved and how they got there and what all of that. So.
Yeah. So it looks like Chris says he also had some. No, I'm not sure if he was responding to Lisa's Deerfield attack ancestors or if my Voyageur's ancestors that he was talking about. He'd say he'd go with his paternal great-grandparents' line. That's his favorite. And then cue the TNG theme. I'm not sure why that is. Next, Star Trek, The Next Generation. Voyageurs, of course. Voyager. Star Trek. Anyways, should we talk about profiles?
Yes. I know nothing about tennis players, so this will be very enlightening.
Oh, well, then you're in for a treat, because guess what? I'm not really a huge sports fan, but we're gonna delve into it, because this week our theme is sports. So here, let me zoom in on the tennis racket there. And the profile of the week is Steffi Graf, and of course, all of them are tennis players. And so which tennis player are you most closely connected to? And of course, I never remember to look until after I've already started sharing my screen. But none of them are super close. I do recall that. So they're all fairly. Now, the interesting thing when I looked at this is I thought, oh, I recognize that name. I recognize that name. I recognize that name. And the funny story is, the reason I recognize so many tennis players' names, even though I'm not a sports fan, I don't generally follow tennis, is because when I first started teaching, in one of my grade 11 classes, I had a student who loved tennis. And he never, ever signed his own name to any of the tests that he wrote. He always put down a tennis player's name. So I've marked the test, the grade 11 math test of Arthur Ashe and Bjorn Borg and Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe. I might have even marked this test of Steffi Graf, thinking that Steph was a guy's name. So, anyways, many of these names I recognize because I've marked their math tests, and they all passed, but they all could have studied harder. But anyway, so that's my brief brush with tennis history through one of my students who just loved it.
So your closest, Greg, it seems to be Hamilton Richardson, 21 degrees.
Oh.
That's also my closest. I'm 19 degrees away from him. So.
And Lisa's also 19 ways. I wonder, is there a French? It must be through the French connection, the French Canadian connection. I'm guessing if it's the same as Lisa.
Through your, yeah, I guess so. It looks like it's through your French.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very cool. So the first one is Stephanie Graf. When she was playing tennis, she was known as Steffi Graf, but I noticed in the biography it says that since she has retired from tennis, she prefers to go by Stephanie. She was born in 1969, and I'm guessing from the flag here and her connection to the Germany project that she is a German citizen or was born in Germany. Her father was certainly born in Germany. I checked his profile. And she married another tennis great, Andre Agassi, in October 2001, and they have 2 children. Nice profile in German, in Deutsch. Started playing tennis at the age of 3. Wow. Her father owned a tennis center where she practiced. Already in 1981, she started the German championships and lost only in 3 sets to Eva Pfaff. In 1983, she was allowed to leave school. At the end of the year, she was already in the top 100. 1984, she beat for the first time a top 10 player and rose to number 22. She played several important matches against Martina Navratilova and won her first Grand Slam in 87. And then it goes on about all the things. Sadly, her father and her, they were accused of tax evasion. Her case was dropped after she paid a fine, but her father did have to serve some jail time. But she founded a foundation for Children of Tomorrow, for children who are traumatized because of escape war and violence. Yeah.
So John just said, "Sorry, nearly forgot watching women's Wimbledon final with mom."
Oh, well, how appropriate is that?
How appropriate, John.
We should have actually had John here then, maybe, to help out with the tennis, because he obviously.
John.
Well. So next is Arthur Ashe.
Apparently, his mom was at Wimbledon this week and last week.
Oh. Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Arthur Ashe was born on July 10th in 1943 in Richmond, Virginia, and passed away on the 6th of February 1993 at the age of 49. So he is an American professional tennis player who won 3 Grand Slam titles, was the first Black player selected for the United States Davis Cup team, and the first and so far only Black man to win the singles title at Wimbledon, the US Open, and the Australian Open. He was also an activist and a humanitarian. His mother died when he was only 6 years old. His father was a parks policeman and caretaker in Richmond, Virginia, and he grew up in the caretaker's house inside the 18-acre Brookfield Park. He had 2 brothers and a sister, and he became a standout tennis player as a teenager, initially with the support from Dr. Walter Whirlwind Johnson. Love that nickname. A physician who also coached and mentored a number of Black tennis prodigies, including the renowned Althea Gibson, and we'll come to her profile in a little bit. Young Arthur Ashe reached the semifinals of the Junior National Championships on his first attempt in '58. He won the indoor single titles in '60, '61, and then goes through details of his rise and renown. In '66, one tennis teacher called him the most promising player in the world. So that's pretty impressive. And he served in the U.S. Army from '66 to '68. And then his tennis titles, the U.S. Open in 1968, the Australian Open, the Wimbledon Open in '75, and so on. Unfortunately, a heart attack led to the discovery that he had advanced cardiovascular disease, and he underwent heart surgery in December '79. So he officially retired from competition in 1980, only at the age of 36. Like, that's way too young for that sort of thing, but for heart disease, in my opinion. But when he retired, he led to other outlets. So he did writing, and that's where his humanitarian work came in, actually being arrested a couple times for taking part in anti-apartheid rallies. So I like this summary paragraph here about him. As an activist and humanitarian in his lifetime, he went from being denied opportunities to play and compete in the late 50s to integrating and winning the previously segregated junior national championships. He co-founded the league to expose underprivileged children to tennis while fostering a sense of discipline and attention. From boycotting and protesting, he was a delegate. He went to be able to observe political change. So it's nice. From being a champion, unable to accept prize money because of his status, he saw the beginning of the open era where professionals were allowed to play in the Grand Slam tournaments and support them. So, very impressive, eh? But again, he died too young. Then Bjorn Borg, born in the 50s in Sweden, Swedish tennis player and businessman. He made his debut in the Davis Cup in 1972, won 5 consecutive Grand Slam titles at Wimbledon, and retired in 83 with a brief comeback in 91. Born in Stockholm on the 6th of June to Karin Borg and his wife, and grew up in Södertälje. Not sure if I pronounced that right, Talja. He lived abroad during his international career, but returned to Sweden in 1987. That's nice. He went to
short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
If anybody has any fun facts about Bjorn, you can share them in the chat. But that's all we got.
Your mom said that Arthur Ashe was an inspiration.
Yeah, I put that up while you were.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry. I've got
that's
two
okay. I know. My mom also says. My mom says that everybody had a crush on Bjorn back in the day, and he was the cutest player.
Borg. Oh. Well, he was so cute that resistance was futile. Okay. If I didn't see it, Chris would have, so
Yeah.
Now we go a little bit back in time. Henri-Jean Cochet, born on the 14th of December, 1901 in Villeurbanne-Rhône, France. He was the son of Gustave Cochet and Antoinette Garreton. And he passed away at the age of 85 on the 2nd of April, 1987 in Saint-Germain-en-Laye in the Yvelines, France. C'est un joueur de tennis français, l'un des 4 mousquetaires qui dominèrent le tennis des années 1920 et du début des années 1930. So there is no English, so I will translate for you.
Well, thank you.
So he's a French tennis player. He was one of the 4 musketeers who dominated tennis in the 1920s and the beginning of the 1930s. He took place in, or I don't know what day, he was in 15 tennis tournaments, 7 of which are, I think, singles. I think Zampla would mean singles. And he also won 6 Davis Cups. So the Davis Cup is a big event in tennis. He was also, let's see, Directeur du Journal, newspaper director. And anyways, passed away the 2nd of April. Okay, so there's a picture of him with his rackets and this fancy tennis outfit.
I guess John's mom sat not far from Jordan, not far last Wednesday.
Ooh.
Not far from him.
Wow. Jimmy Connors, born in the 50s, son of James Connors and Gloria Florence Thompson. James Scott Connors, better known as Jimmy Connors, was born in 52. He was a prolific tennis player and tennis superstar. He was the #1 tennis player for a then record 160 consecutive weeks from 1974 to 1977. And for a total of 268 weeks altogether. Won 109 titles,
wow.
Played over 1,500 matches, and of those, 1,274 matches were wins. That's a pretty good average.
Yeah.
5 U.S. Opens, 2 Wimbledons, 1 Australian Open, 17 Grand Prix Super Series titles. Wow. Inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame, not surprisingly with those stats. Okay.
So I was just looking up when I Googled, I was like, who played the most tennis matches?
Oh.
So I think this actually pulled up the wins. And Jimmy Connors is number 3 at 233. Number 1 was Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic. So
Okay.
just a fact there. I also
Okay.
have some fun facts about tennis after.
Okay. Great. Excellent. Okay. Next, Althea Gibson. Now, I must admit, this is not a name that I recognize. This was not a name that was, I did not mark her math test. So she was new to me. Born on the 25th of August, 1927 in Silver City, or just Silver, Clarendon County, South Carolina, United States. Daughter of Daniel Gibson and Annie Bell Washington. And she passed away on the 28th of September, 2003 at the age of 76 in East Orange, New Jersey, United States. She's part of U.S. Black history. So the summary here, Althea Gibson was an all-round American athlete who excelled at tennis and golf, and in the 1950s and 60s broke the color barrier for women competing in those sports. After years of being stonewalled, in 1950, she was the first Black player to compete at the U.S. National Championships at Forest Hills. In 1951, she was the first Black player to compete at Wimbledon. She was the first African-American ever to win a Grand Slam tennis championship with her 1956 Roland Garros French Championships victory. She went on to win Wimbledon and the U.S. Nationals in 1957 and again in 1958, and was the first Black player to be ranked number 1 in the world. She won 11 tennis Grand Slam tournaments in all, including 5 singles and 6 doubles. She retired from competitive tennis in 1958, and then she turned to golf and was in 1962 the first Black player in an LPGA tour, and in 1964 became the first Black member of the Ladies Professional Golf Association. So that's pretty impressive. And look, even on her gravestone, it's immortalized her tennis. World champion, French Open, Wimbledon, U.S. National Championships, now known as U.S. Open. And then she was buried with right next to her first husband, William Alexander Darbin, the love of her life. So that's nice. Nicely done profile here too. Like the pictures and then the nice timeline of her sports. Nice picture of here of Queen Elizabeth presenting her with the Venus rosewater dish. And if you look at it, it's you're seeing it on its side in this picture with Queen Elizabeth, but I think that's what she's holding up in this picture that's along the plate. So that at the Wimbledon's Women's Singles Championship. So maybe we should ask John, is that giant dish, is that what every winner gets for Wimbledon? You get a giant salad plate or
salad plate.
I mean, it almost looks like an ornate shield or something. Is there a better?
Venus rosewood.
There's the picture of the fuller picture of it there. Interesting, eh? That's the Venus dish.
It does look like a big salad dish.
Doesn't it? That's the Venus dish. Okay. And so does everyone get that who wins the Wimbledon? That's my question to John in the chat.
And it's a trophy awarded to the women's category.
Okay, there we go.
Obviously paying tribute to the goddess Venus.
Right. Yeah. Very cool.
And that's very appropriate then how one of the best women's tennis players is Venus right now, you know.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Yeah. Very well known. Oh,
very cool. Nice. Then we have Yvonne Goolagong Colley. So Yvonne Goolagong was the daughter of Kenneth Edmund Goolagong and Melinda Violet Briggs. She was an Indigenous Australian, former world number 1 tennis player, one of the world's leading players in the 70s and early 80s, during which she won 14 Grand Slam titles, 7 in singles at the Australian Open, 2 at Wimbledon, and 1 at the French Open, and 6 in the women's doubles and 1 in mixed doubles. She was the third of 8 children, born on the 31st of July, 1951 in Griffith, New South Wales, to Kenneth Kenny Edmund Goolagong, a sheep shearer, and Melinda Violet Goolagong of the Wiradjuri people. But she grew up in the small country town of Barellan, which is 50 kilometers to the east of Griffith, where they were the only Aboriginal family. That might have been difficult, I'm guessing. Her father was a hard worker and also the local golf champion. The family name means tall trees by still waters. That's kind of neat. She went to live permanently at age 14, which I think is a little young, but with Vic Edwards in Sydney, who was an Australian tennis coach and who had been advised of her talents in 62. And he took her under his wing until she became a professional tennis player when she got married. They moved to the U.S., so she married Roger Colley, who was also a former British junior tennis champion from England. And they moved to the U.S. for 17 years, where they had 2 children. But then she, in '91, when her mother Melinda died, they returned to Australia, and she began to expand her knowledge of her Aboriginal heritage, and started a foundation to assist the Aboriginal cause. Wrote an autobiography, and became published and was an immediate bestseller. She was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of South Australia in recognition of her distinguished service to the community. The first Aboriginal Australian to succeed in tennis at an international level. She was a true champion, has become an incredible role model, and a person of integrity and poise, committed to excellence and dedicated to sharing her inspirational ethos.
Yeah. John was also saying, why he likes tennis so much. He says, my aunt and uncle were tennis coaches, and my first cousin is manager of the Wimbledon qualifying club in Roehampton.
Oh,
so you're very involved in tennis, John. You totally should have been on here. We
totally should have had him on here. Oh man, if only we knew. Okay, John McEnroe. I think this is the one that Chris was alluding to yesterday, who had the temper tantrums. Yes, there we go. John McEnroe is an American tennis player, often associated for his fiery temper on and off the court.
That's it. That's his profile.
That's it. And one link to a wiki article. There we go. Enough said. Of course, if he knew how little time we spent on him, he'd be mad at us and throw a tennis racket at us.
Sorry, John McEnroe.
Sorry, John. Moving on. Wait a second. Finnegan wants to get out. Okay, you want to go?
Bye, doggies.
Go ahead.
Greg's having stubborn dog problems.
Oh, there we go. Okay. He might get a peanut if he goes into the kitchen. My wife just got home. Okay. Maud Margaret Much Molesworth. So I like alliteration, but wow, they took this to the extreme. Maud Margaret Molesworth was daughter of Alexander Much and Margaret Agnes Thornton.
Do you think she found a husband who had an M as his last name so she could take it?
That's right. I think they must have. But they didn't insist that his full name, like it could have been, Matthew Molesworth.
Yeah, she could have married another alliteration, and they could have been an alliteration together.
Yeah, that's right.
A whole bunch of M's.
She was born on the 18th of October, 1894. So I think this is the earliest profile so far. In the colony of Queensland, Australia. So was that before Australia became an official country, or maybe before Queensland became an official state? I'm not sure. When did Australia become a country?
Aaron says he wishes McEnroe was open to edit. I guess that's the problem with the profiles of people still living.
Oh yeah, there's no edit button here, is there? Yeah.
I guess you have to become part of the Notables project if you want to.
Oh, look, and neither of his.
How do we know if we're connected to him or not? If he's not, wait, hold on. Is he part of my connections?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, I am connected. I'm 24 degrees from him. Oh, through his wife. So he has no. It's all through his wife. His wife is connected.
But I don't see the wife. Oh, maybe if they're private, they don't even show as there.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, my connection is through his wife, so I think that's
Okay.
how everybody else is.
Back to Maud. So it looks like her official name is Maud Margaret, but she goes by Moll, was I guess the nickname that she used. Completed her education 1911-1912 at the New England Girls' School in New South Wales, where she captained the tennis team. Her father, an inspiration for her tennis career, was her first coach. Frequent practice with male players helped her develop an aggressive style with a strong service. She won the Brisbane Metropolitan Singles and Doubles titles events. She was to dominate for 25 years. So she married Bevel Hugh Molesworth, who was a lecturer in history and recently appointed to the University of Tasmania. He was the elder son of a Reverend Hugh Goldsmith, and she was the only daughter of her family. They moved to Hobart, which is the capital of Tasmania, in 1918, and then to Broken Hill in New South Wales in 1920. She overpowered her Victorian opponents with her deep, commanding drives and heavily chopped forehand and backhand. And there's a quote here. She was described as the first woman competitor to hit the ball as hard as a man. Some contemporaries claim that she had the widest range of shots of any player of her era, male or female. Her talent, so she must have been like really strong, really powerful. Her talent on the court was matched by her charm, goodwill, and popularity with tennis enthusiasts. She retired from the championship tennis in 1937 and moved to Linfield in the leafy northern suburbs of Sydney, where in 1939 she became Australia's first female professional tennis coach. Cool. There's a Moll Molesworth Perpetual Trophy awarded each year to the winner of the Queensland Women's Championship. And she was in the Australian Tennis Hall of Fame. That's kind of neat. Then we have Hamilton Farrar Richardson,
which I think everybody's mostly closely connected to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually 14 cousins 2 times removed from him as well, actually.
Ooh. Very cool. Okay, so he was born in Baton Rouge on the 24th of August, 1933, Louisiana. Passed away in 2006, 5th November, at the age of 73 in New York City. His mother was Carrie Johnson, and his father was Roger Richardson Jr. By 1940, they had moved to New Jersey, but then returned to Baton Rouge by 1945. Began playing tennis when he was 11 years old. It was not long before he started training at the New Orleans Lawn Tennis Club with Tulane tennis coach Emmett Parr. Although diagnosed with diabetes at age 15, he still continued his intensive training and top-level competition against the advice of his doctors. But that didn't slow him down because he won the United States juniors, singles, and doubles. And he competed while he was at Tulane University, then went on to Trinity College in Oxford, where he got a master's degree in politics, philosophy, and economics. He was ranked number 1 by the Tennis Association in 1956, played on 7 United States Davis Cup teams with a record 20 wins, and had a successful 58 season. She was ranked number 1. Played as an amateur for most of his career, as did most of the top players before 68. And as he grew older, he did enter several tournaments, but no evidence that he ever turned professional or won any prize money. Unfortunately, diabetes did get to him in the end. He died of complications due to diabetes on the 5th of November.
I think it was, in his 70s, though?
Yeah, he was still in his, so that's pretty good. He beat it for quite a while, yeah. Interesting fact, his wife, who he married, Agnes Teresa Midge Turk, was a former nun.
And then she became the editor of 17 magazine.
Yeah, that's quite a career shift, isn't it? From nun to Teen Beat, Teen Heartthrob magazine. You can't read my screen anymore.
I think maybe Lisa's having connection issues because I can see it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Sorry, Lisa. I've just got one more, Lisa, though. Hang in there. It's Helen Newington Wills Rourke. So Helen Helen Newington, daughter of Clarence Alfred Wills and Catherine Anderson, was known by her married names either Helen Wills Moody or Helen Wills Rourke. American tennis player. Held the top position in women's tennis for a total of 9 years, won 19 singles Grand Slam tournament titles during her career, and amassed a 91.9% win-loss match record. Very cool. From 1919 through to 1938. Her stoic style of play on the court earned her the nickname of Little Miss Poker Face. I guess there's her poker face right there.
That's funny.
Okay. Just like many of them, she started young. At the age of 8, her mother bought her a tennis racket. And she played on the dirt courts next to the Alameda County Hospital at Live Park, Alameda. So she was born in California. There we go. That makes sense. And passed away at Carmel by the Sea, Monterey County, California. That sounds like a nice, pleasant, calm place to pass away if you have to pass away, I guess. Eh? Carmel by the Sea. First American woman athlete to become a global celebrity. She made friends with royalty and film stars despite her preference to stay out of the limelight, and was admired for her ability to move about the court. She practiced against men so as to improve her game. And she primarily played a baseline game, which John would know what that meant. I'm just reading the words. She had an 180 match win streak from 1927 up to 1933. That's pretty cool, eh? Going that many matches in a row without a loss. And she even beat the 8th ranked US male player in an exhibition match. Her record for wins at Wimbledon, which was 8 of them in a row, or 8 of them, was not surpassed until Martina Navratilova won her 9th. Wow. She was arguably the most dominant female tennis player of the 20th century. Some even say that she's the best female player in the history of the game. Wow. Yeah. There we go. So that's your brief look at tennis. From
tennis.
Yes.
Now I have some fun facts about the history of tennis, if anybody, which I think are interesting. So, tennis dates back to the 12th century France.
Wow.
Was originally played as a handball game called Palm.
Okay.
And it was involved hitting the ball back and forth by hand. And then in time, a black leather glove was used, and then they formed the racket. So, and then tennis got its name when the earlier version used to be played by monks in the 12th century, and they would throw and catch the ball while shouting tennis, which means take heed. So that's how tennis got its name. And then another one which I think is interesting because, you know, tennis gets scored in an odd way, 15, 30, and 45. So it's believed that the scoring system comes from medieval France and that a clock face was used to indicate scores. So for every point scored, the hand was moved to the next quarter. And the first quarter to reach 60 was the winner and the game ended. So.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. 15
minutes. It's a little confusing now since it's 15, 30, and 40. But that's just an idea of why. So. And then in 1881, the very first U.S. Open was played after America founded the U.S. National Lawn Tennis Association. In 1896, tennis was first played at the Olympics. And in 1897, the French championships were open to women tennis players for the first time in French history. So there are some facts about
Neat. Thank you, Sarah.
A lot of things I didn't know, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, very neat. Very neat. Chris wants us to focus on basketball sometime soon. So
I know, you gotta talk to the. I guess is there a significant basketball event coming up that we think?
Well, March Madness has passed us. That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
So or that's just college, so that's not NBA.
I guess we have to wait till March. So, okay, let's go look at some photos.
Let's look at some pictures. Yes.
Photos. So it's Celebration.
Yay!
We have not too many photos to look at, but some. I like this first one. I like this one a lot.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yes. It looks like they're looking at an older photo, maybe of their wedding.
Of their wedding? I
They're
wonder.
reminiscing.
Oh.
That's what I think. That's my idea. What is it? There's no comment about it, but yeah, it's really cute. And
Diamond
it's really
wedding.
crisp photo.
So is the Diamond Jubilee, is that 75? Diamond. Let me just check that.
I don't know.
I'm just checking it out.
50 or 75. It has to be one of those.
Oh, okay. Well, the Diamond Jubilee is the 60th, I think.
60. Okay.
60. Golden is 50.
So what's 75? I don't know how many people have gotten 75.
It might be 75. Platinum is 70, but
okay. So this is the honeymoon photo.
It can also be 75.
Armanella Brownscombe and Charles Miller. I didn't know a honeymoon photo was a thing. I guess you take a photo after the wedding.
Interesting.
Oh, I like this. So this is Leroy Nelson celebrating Independence Day at 42nd Street and Broadway in his naval uniform on 1943. Celebrating John Hamill's 80th birthday.
Nice.
80 is a big one. My dad just got to 70.
Wow.
Celebrating his 70th.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, that's cute. Birthday. I wonder whose birthday it is. I wonder if it's the baby's birthday or her birthday. Janine. Okay, it's Janine's photo. Janine's whose birthday is it?
Oh, Janine, let us know.
Oh, the family photo. Oh, it was Amber's birthday. So I'm not sure which one Amber is.
Okay, so there we go. It's
which one's Amber, Janine?
The older one, I guess. No, I don't know. We don't know.
I wonder what they're celebrating here. They're standing in front of something. Is it a groundbreaking? I have no idea.
That looks like
building the Vancouver Airport North Runway, Christmas 1966. I guess it's the company's sending us out for lunchtime dinner to celebrate. Daniel E. Hurd, Westminster, Massachusetts, 150th anniversary dedication of memorial to soldiers of the Revolution. This photo was taken in 1909. Very cool.
It was the older one, Janine said, of the birthdays.
Oh, okay.
Girls.
Okay, that's all the photos here. Let's look at the G2G post. We'll do that quickly, and then we'll talk about what's happening next week.
That's right.
We have this honeymoon photo.
Nice.
That we saw already. And this little note here says, Leroy is in officer candidate school because of the uniform he is wearing. His friend on the left already graduated. Oh, we didn't see this one. My parents' wedding in 1939. Oh, how cute. That's a cute one.
Nice.
She looks very happy.
That's good.
It's good to be happy on your wedding.
Yeah.
We saw this one. Oh, I guess if we would have come here, we would have realized.
Oh.
Amber is the older one. And because she's only 8 months old. Here's some more stories. So here we are in 1966, about to be sent out to celebrate with Christmas lunch and dinner. Compliments of Peter Coit Sons, Omaha, Nebraska. The contractor awarded the 3-year, $500 million, the YVR Vancouver Airport 2-mile north runway project. Oh, we didn't see this one.
No, that's a new one.
This photo was taken on September 28th, 1898 at Lichfield Cathedral, Staffordshire, England. It was taken to celebrate the 21st birthday of my second great aunt Louisa Richards. She was the youngest child of the family and was born on September 28th, 1877. Louisa is at the left back end of the row. So I guess
Oh, there we go.
over here. Only one child of the 11 children born to Louisa Green Richards and Charles Richards did not live to adulthood. So this is all their other kids.
Chris commented on their hats.
I do like that hat. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, he's.
Is it gone now?
Oh, so this is Hannah is holding their wedding photo, pointing to herself. See, it was.
Yeah, you're right. You thought that.
Christine, do you have the photo uploaded of that photo?
The photo of the photo, yes.
Yes, the photo of the photo they're holding. That's it, guys. That's all the photos.
Wow.
There's some good ones this week. No animals, but can't win every time.
Right. So anything exciting happening over the next week, Sarah?
Well, no, next weekend is Connectathon.
Yes.
Is everybody signed up? I saw we already have all of the LiveCast set up for the Connectathon.
Yes.
Next
so that'll
weekend.
be much easier to find.
Yes.
Except you have to find the right time. Yeah. Don't click on the noon one when it's only 8 in the morning because you'll be waiting a long time for us to start.
Starts at 8 a.m. on 8 a.m. Eastern time, Friday, the whatever day, the 15th, I believe. And it ends Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So full 72 hours of connecting. There will be a live cast every 4 hours. There's a link. Are you doing some of the Connectathon chats, Greg?
I am. I've signed up for a bunch of them, the ones that I'm not at church or doing something else. So, yeah. I can't do the ones in the middle of the night because that's
no, I've done those before. No.
Yeah. Well.
So
to answer Susan's question, we will not be doing this weekly roundup next week. So we'll be back here, or at least I'll be back here in 2 weeks. Sarah is going to be on holiday.
Yes, I'm going to be on vacation I'll see my mom.
Nice. But you could tune in and say hi to us in the chat.
Yes, but I don't know if I'll work. If we'll be driving there. I'm not sure. So
that's okay.
Depends on timing.
That's right. So next week, don't tune in at 10, but tune in at 8 in the morning, and then tune again at noon for the 15-minute or so.
Yeah, they're very short. They can either range from 5 minutes. Yes. Sometimes they'll go on for 35 minutes. Really depends on how much of a tangent happens.
Yes. How much math I put in.
Yes.
And it won't be. It's not all math.
I think people still have till Wednesday to sign up.
I was going to say, if you haven't signed up, it's not too late. Yeah. Oh, Kathy Nav is doing a couple of them. Way to go, Kathy. Ooh. Midnight and 4 a.m.
Go, Kathy. You're doing the ones that other people struggle with. Well, Alesh usually does those ones too, because since he's on the opposite end.
That's right. Yeah. Now she's on the West Coast, so it's not as late for her as it is for us.
Yeah. So it's like 1 a.m. and 10 p.m. for her on those. So, or something like that. Not as late.
1 and 9. Yeah.
Whatever that math is.
I think it's 9 p.m. and 1
Wednesday.
Sorry?
But Judy says you can sign up until Wednesday. So she confirmed.
That's good. Yeah.
And unless anybody has any questions about
the
Connectathon or anything else.
No. Thanks to those who did help me out with the 6 Degrees app, because I went live, the new update with the family tree stuff, and I think that's working now. Most of the stuff. So that's good.
I did have a little
WikiTree challenge this week, or
I think they're actually doing. I saw his name and I just
Matthew
forgot.
McConaughey?
They're doing, or they just did, Matthew McConaughey, my mom's favorite actor.
Yeah. So is that this week they're doing him?
I'm not sure.
They wouldn't do him over the 21st,
Oh,
July
so it's coming
21st, we
up.
start with Matthew McConaughey.
Mom, they're going to be researching Matthew McConaughey, your favorite person.
Yes, but so she should register to participate. She could be one of the researchers for Matthew.
You see her response?
Ooh, let's.
So I also just wanted to say real quick that, because I noticed I still have to do it, but Fold 3, they're having free document for this for the Independence Day, because it was just July 4th. So if you want to research your people who were in the American Revolution, Fold 3, yes,
Fold
is
3.
having
Okay. Yes.
those documents around that time period free to research until the 17th. So I just want to let everybody know if you want to research some ancestors. So that's
Very
all.
cool. Very cool. Oh, Family History Fanatics. Devin just showed up. Hi, Devin.
Hello. I guess with that, you just got here, but we're now.
Sorry, we're just about to end. Hi, bye.
Until next time. Well, I guess I'll see you guys in a while.
Yeah, I'll see you. I'll be on the kickoff on Friday morning at 8:00 for the Connectathon. So I'll see some of you then.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good week.